Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Horizon, watching the stars through the large window. His ship was far from Earth, exploring space near a star system called Kepler 442. The crew had been out here for 6 months, looking for new planets and studying space. "Captain, I'm getting something strange on the radio," said Lieutenant Amy Collins. She was the ship's communications officer, a young woman with short brown hair who was very good at her job. She looked worried as she stared at her computer screen. Jake walked over to her station. "What kind of strange?" "It's not natural space noise, sir. This is definitely a signal from someone, but it's not like anything we've heard before." Amy played the sound through the speakers. It was a series of beeps and tones that seemed to follow some kind of pattern. Dr. Ben Rodriguez looked up from his desk across the bridge. He was the ship's language expert, a smart man who could figure out how different groups of people talk to each other. "Can you send that to my computer? I want to study it." Amy nodded and sent the signal to Ben's station. He put on his headphones and started working. The bridge became quiet, except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. After 2 hours, Ben suddenly stood up. His face was pale. "Captain, you need to hear this." Jake and the other officers gathered around Ben's desk. "I've been working on this signal for hours. It's mathematical at first, then it becomes more complex. Someone is trying to talk to us, and they're in serious trouble." Ben played a cleaner version of the signal. "The math part is showing us how they count and do basic science. Then they switched to showing us pictures and ideas. Captain, this is a cry for help from aliens." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone knew this was the first time humans had ever gotten a message from beings on another world. "What are they saying exactly?" Jake asked. Ben looked at his notes. "They call themselves the Villani. They live on a planet they call Cristara in this star system. Something called the Harvesters is attacking them. They're dying, Captain. Billions of them." Amy checked her equipment again. "The signal is coming from the third planet in this system. It's about 4 light hours away from us." Jake thought carefully. This was the biggest moment in human history, but it was also dangerous. "Ben, can you understand more of their message?" "Yes." "Sir, give me more time." Ben went back to work while Jake called his senior officers to a meeting in the conference room. "This changes everything," said Commander Lisa Park, his second-in-command. "If there really are aliens and they're under attack, what do we do?" "First, we need to be sure this is real," Jake said. "Ben is good at his job, but this is huge. If it's true, we need to contact Earth Command right away." Dr. Sarah Kim, the ship's science officer, spoke up. "Captain, I've been checking our sensors. There are definitely artificial signals coming from that planet. Very advanced technology, but I'm also seeing something else." "What?" "Energy readings that don't match anything we know. Big explosions, like weapons firing. Whatever's happening, there. It's violent." Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. While they had been talking, people might be dying on that planet. Ben's voice came over the ship's communication system. "Captain, please come back to the bridge. I've learned more." When they returned, Ben looked even more worried. "I figured out more of their language. Captain, the Villani are not fighters. They've never had wars. They're peaceful crystal beings who study science and art. They say the Harvesters are machines that eat entire worlds." "Machines?" "Yes, sir. Ancient robots from a dead civilization. The Villani say they've already destroyed dozens of planets. They turn living beings into materials to build more machines." Amy suddenly called out, "Captain, we're getting another signal. This one's different." The new signal was weaker and full of static. Ben worked on it quickly. When he played it back, his hands were shaking. This is from a Volani scientist. She says the harvesters have been attacking for 3 days. Most of their cities are gone. They're trying to get their people off the planet, but the harvesters are destroying their escape ships. Jake made his decision. Amy, open a channel to Earth Command. Priority 1. Tell them we have first contact with aliens under attack. Yes, sir. While Amy worked on contacting Earth, Ben continued listening to the alien signals. Captain, there's something else. The Volani detected our radio signals from Earth many years ago. They know about us, but they think we're too primitive to help them. This distress call isn't really meant for us. They're just screaming into space, hoping anyone might hear them. Jake looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, an entire species was being destroyed by machines, and Earth was the only one who could hear their cries for help. How long until we can reach their planet? He asked. At full speed, about 18 hours, said Commander Park. Do it. Take us there. Sir, shouldn't we wait for orders from Earth? Jake thought about the signals they were receiving. Every minute they waited, more aliens died. We can't wait. By the time Earth sends orders, it might be too late. We're going to help them. As the USS Horizon changed course toward the alien planet, none of them knew they were about to make a decision that would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Earth was about to learn that when someone calls for help, humans answer that call no matter how dangerous it might be. Admiral Lisa Carter sat in her office at Earth Command, staring at the message from Captain Morrison. She had read it 5 times, but it still seemed impossible. Aliens were real, they were under attack, and they needed help. She pressed a button on her desk. Get me General Frank Walsh, Admiral Mike Johnson, and Director Kate Brown. Emergency meeting in 10 minutes. Within minutes, the most important military leaders on Earth were sitting around Carter's conference table. The room was quiet as she played Morrison's message again. This has to be some kind of mistake, said General Walsh. He was an older man who had fought in many Earth wars. Aliens, ancient robot armies. It sounds like a movie. Director Brown, who ran Earth's intelligence services, shook her head. I've checked Morrison's records. He's one of our best captains. Very honest, very careful. If he says this is real, I believe him. Admiral Johnson leaned forward. Even if it's true, what can we do? We have one research ship out there. The aliens are probably dead already. Carter had been thinking about this since she got Morrison's message. We do have more than one ship. The Third Fleet is finishing training exercises near Jupiter. Admiral Davis has 12 ships with him. 12 ships against ancient death machines? Walsh laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. That's not enough. Then we send more, Carter said simply. Every ship we have. The room became very quiet. Brown spoke first. Lisa, you're talking about sending Earth's entire space navy to fight an enemy we know nothing about. What if we lose? What if these harvesters decide to attack Earth next? Carter stood up and walked to the window. She could see spaceships taking off and landing at the military base below. Kate, if we don't help these aliens, what kind of people are we? They sent a cry for help into space. We heard it. How can we ignore that? Admiral Johnson pulled up star charts on his computer. It would take our fastest ships 3 weeks to reach the Kepler system. By then, the aliens will be dead. Maybe, Carter said, but maybe not. And maybe we can learn something that will help us protect Earth. She turned back to the table. I'm calling an emergency meeting of the Defense Council. We're going to offer them a choice. Send everything we have to help the aliens, or live with the knowledge that we could have saved billions of lives and chose not to. 2 hours later, Carter stood before the 12-person Defense Council. These were the leaders who made the biggest military decisions for Earth. She had 30 minutes to convince them. "The Villani have been fighting for their lives for 4 days now," she began. "Our computers estimate they have maybe 2 weeks before their planet is completely destroyed. We can get there in time to make a difference." Councilman Robert Lee, an older politician, raised his hand. "Admiral, what you're asking for would leave Earth defenseless. Every warship, every soldier we have in space. Sir, if these harvesters are as dangerous as the aliens say, Earth is already in danger. We need to learn how to fight them. Better to do that while helping others than waiting for them to find us." The debate went on for hours. Some council members wanted to hide and hope the robots never found Earth. Others wanted to send just a few ships. Carter kept pushing for everything. Finally, Councilwoman Janet Price spoke up. "Admiral Carter, what exactly are you asking for?" Carter had prepared for this moment. Everything. Every battleship, every carrier, every destroyer, all our space marines, our best pilots, our newest weapons. I want to send a message to these harvesters that Earth will not let them destroy innocent people. And who would command this fleet? I will. The room erupted in arguments. Some people shouted that it was too dangerous. Others said it was humanity's duty to help. The debate went on for another hour. When the vote came, it was close. 7 votes to send the fleet, 5 votes against. Carter felt relief flood through her body. "Thank you. I'll start gathering ships immediately." Over the next 5 days, Earth's space fleet came together like never before. Ships came from Mars, from the asteroid belt, from the outer planets. Admiral Mike Davis brought his 3rd Fleet from Jupiter. Commander Ryan Brooks volunteered his heavy cruiser, the USS Retribution. Colonel Nina Walsh insisted her Marine battalion be included. The biggest ship was the USS Liberty, a massive battleship that had never been used in real combat. Carter decided to make it her flagship. Chief Engineer Tony Martinez worked day and night to outfit the ships with the best weapons Earth had. Lieutenant Commander Alex Johnson prepared his fighter squadrons. These were small, fast ships designed to protect larger vessels. Johnson was known as one of the best pilots in Earth's military. Dr. Rodriguez, working with scientists on Earth, continued studying the alien signals. He learned that the Villani were made of living crystal and communicated through light and sound. They had never known war before the harvesters came. "The harvesters are like a disease," Rodriguez explained to Carter. "They land on a planet, kill everything alive, and use the materials to build more of themselves. They've been doing this for thousands of years." As the fleet grew, people on Earth watched the news with fear and excitement. Some protested, saying the government was risking everyone's lives for aliens they had never met. Others supported the mission, saying it was humanity's chance to do something good in the universe. Carter didn't have time to worry about politics. She was learning to command the largest fleet in human history. 57 ships of different sizes and types. 20,000 soldiers, sailors, and pilots. On the last day before departure, Carter stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, looking at the other ships around her. Some were sleek and new, others were older but reliable. All of them were crewed by people who had volunteered to risk their lives for strangers. Commander Susan Davis, Carter's second-in-command, walked up beside her. "Admiral, the fleet is ready." All ships report prepared for jump to faster-than-light speed. Carter thought about the Volani, still fighting for their lives in a distant star system. She thought about the responsibility she carried. If this mission failed, Earth might lose its entire space navy. But she also thought about the message they were sending. Humanity would not stand by while others suffered. "Signal all ships," she said. "This is Admiral Carter. Today, humanity takes its place among the stars. We go not as conquerors, but as protectors. We go to show the galaxy that Earth stands with those who need help." She paused, thinking of the right words. "We don't know what we'll find when we get there. We don't know if we can win. But we know this. When someone calls for help, humans answer. All ships prepare for jump. We're going to save some aliens." The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching the main screen as sensors scanned the area ahead. "Report," she ordered. Lieutenant Sam Patterson, the tactical officer, checked his readings. "Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy signatures near the third planet. Multiple ships in combat. Some appear to be fleeing." Carter felt her heart sink. They might already be too late. "Put it on screen." The main display showed the alien planet, called Cristhera. It was beautiful, with blue and green colors swirling across its surface. But around the planet was a sight that made everyone on the bridge gasp. Hundreds of black ships surrounded the world like hungry sharks. They were sleek and deadly-looking, with no windows or visible crew areas. These had to be the harvesters. Between the black ships and the planet, smaller crystal-like vessels were trying to escape. Many were damaged, leaving trails of sparkling debris behind them. As the humans watched, several of the crystal ships exploded under weapons fire from the black vessels. "Those must be Volani evacuation ships," said Dr. Rodriguez, who had joined the fleet to help communicate with the aliens. "The harvesters are destroying them before they can get away." Captain Morrison's voice came over the communication system from the USS Horizon, which was already in the system. "Admiral, the situation is worse than we thought. I estimate 200 harvester ships. They're not just attacking military targets. They're hunting down every Volani they can find." Carter made her decision quickly. "All ships, battle formation. We're going in." Commander Susan Davis looked worried. "Ma'am, we're outnumbered almost 4-1. Then we better hit them hard and fast." Carter turned to the communications officer. "Signal the fleet. Attack pattern Alpha. Target the harvester ships that are closest to the Volani evacuees. Create a corridor so the aliens can escape." The human fleet moved forward at full speed. 57 ships against 200 alien machines. On paper, it looked impossible. The first shots came from the USS Retribution. Commander Brooks had armed his ship with humanity's newest weapons, railguns that fired metal slugs at incredible speeds. The projectiles hit a harvester ship and punched straight through its hull. "Direct hit!" shouted Patterson. "Enemy ship is venting atmosphere and spinning out of control." But the celebration was short-lived. The damaged harvester ship began to glow, and within minutes, the holes in its hull were closing. It was repairing itself. "Admiral, their ships can fix themselves," Brooks reported over the radio. Conventional weapons might not be enough. The harvesters had noticed the human fleet now. 20 of the black ships turned away from hunting Volani evacuees and moved toward the humans. They fired beams of pure energy that cut through space, like swords. The first beam hit the destroyer USS Freedom. The energy weapon sliced through the ship's armor like it was paper. Half the ship exploded immediately. "Freedom is gone," reported Patterson, his voice shaking. 60 crew members lost. Carter watched more harvester ships turning toward them. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Don't let them get a clean shot. The battle became a deadly dance. Human ships moved in unpredictable patterns while firing everything they had. Nuclear missiles, energy weapons, railgun slugs, and old-fashioned explosive shells. Some weapons worked better than others, but nothing seemed to stop the harvesters for long. Lieutenant Commander Johnson led his fighter squadrons in quick attacks on harvester vessels. The small human ships were fast enough to avoid most enemy fire, but their weapons barely scratched the alien hulls. "Admiral, we're not winning this fight," said Commander Davis. "We need a new plan." Carter was about to respond when her communications officer called out, "Ma'am, I'm getting a signal. It's from the planet. Someone's trying to talk to us." "Put it through." Dr. Rodriguez worked quickly to clean up the signal. When it came through the speakers, it was clearly alien, but the computer was translating it into English. "Unknown ships, please identify yourselves. Are you here to help us?" Rodriguez grabbed the microphone. "This is Dr. Ben Rodriguez of the Earth Fleet. We received your distress call. We're here to help." There was a long pause. Then the alien voice came back, full of amazement. "Earth? The third planet of the star you call Sol? You came? We thought you were too primitive to travel between stars. We're more advanced than you thought," Rodriguez replied. "What's your situation down there?" "I am Crystalline Song of Hope, a scientist of the Villani people. The harvesters have destroyed most of our cities. We estimate 2 billion of our people are dead. We're trying to evacuate the survivors, but their ships hunt us wherever we go." Carter took the microphone. "This is Admiral Lisa Carter, commander of the Earth Fleet. We're going to get your people out of here, but we need your help. How do we fight these machines?" "Fight them?" The alien sounded confused. "No one fights the harvesters. They are too powerful. Every species that has tried has been destroyed." "Well, we're not every species. We're humans." Another explosion rocked. The Liberty, as a harvester beam, grazed their shields. Carter could see on the tactical display that they were slowly losing the battle. Several more human ships had been destroyed or badly damaged. But something interesting was happening. The harvesters seemed confused by human tactics. They were used to fighting aliens who used predictable strategies and similar technology. Humans fought differently. Captain Morrison suddenly broke radio silence. "Admiral, I have an idea. These machines seem to adapt to whatever we throw at them. But what if we give them something they can't adapt to?" "What do you mean?" "Ramming speed. The USS Horizon is already damaged. Let me take her straight into their biggest ship." Carter's first instinct was to say no. But looking at the battle situation, desperate measures might be their only chance. "Morrison, that's suicide." "Maybe. But it might also work. These machines think logically. They don't expect anyone to deliberately destroy their own ship." Before Carter could respond, Morrison's ship suddenly accelerated toward the largest harvester vessel. The alien ship fired repeatedly, but Morrison kept his ship moving in wild patterns that made it hard to target. "All crew, this is the captain," Morrison announced over an open channel so the whole fleet could hear. "Abandon ship. Get to the escape pods. We're going to show these machines what humans do when someone threatens innocent people." The USS Horizon smashed into the Harvester command ship at full speed. The explosion was visible even from the edge of the system. When the light faded, both ships were gone. Suddenly, something strange happened. Several other Harvester ships stopped moving for a few seconds, as if they were confused or trying to process what had just happened. "They're networked," Rodriguez said excitedly. All the harvester ships share information. Morrison's sacrifice confused their whole fleet. Carter saw their chance. All ships, concentrate fire on the motionless targets. Hit them now while they're not defending themselves. The human fleet poured everything they had into the stopped harvester ships. This time the damage was real and lasting. 5 enemy vessels exploded, and 3 more were badly damaged. The remaining harvesters seemed to recalculate their strategy. Instead of continuing the fight, they began to retreat toward the outer edge of the system. "They're running," said Patterson, hardly believing. Carter felt a mix of relief and sadness. They had won this battle, but the cost was high. Too many good people had died. "Signal all Volani ships," she ordered. "This is Admiral Carter of Earth. The immediate threat is over. Begin full evacuation procedures. We'll protect you while you get your people to safety." Crystalline Song of Hope's voice came over the radio again. "Admiral Carter, what you have done today will be remembered forever. You are the first species to ever make the harvesters retreat. How is this possible?" Carter looked around the bridge, at her tired crew. They had just fought the most important battle in human history. "Because when someone calls for help," she said, "humans answer." 3 days after the first battle, Admiral Carter called a meeting aboard the USS Liberty. The conference room was packed with ship captains, marine commanders, and alien guests. The Volani scientist, Crystalline Song of Hope, attended through a special communication device, her crystal body glowing softly as she spoke. "The evacuation is going well," reported Commander Brooks. "We've gotten about 500,000 Volani off the planet so far. But, Admiral, our scouts are reporting something troubling." Carter leaned forward. "What is it?" "The harvesters didn't really retreat. They're regrouping at the edge of the system, and they're calling for reinforcements. We estimate another 300 ships will arrive within the week." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The first battle had been hard. Enough against 200 enemy ships. Fighting 500 would be impossible. Colonel Nina Walsh, commander of the 3rd Marine Battalion, spoke up. "Admiral, with respect, we can't win a straight fight against those numbers. We need a different approach." "What do you suggest?" Walsh was a tough woman who had fought in ground wars on Mars and Europa. "We need to stop thinking like a space Navy and start thinking like fighters. Hit-and-run attacks. Board their ships. Make them afraid." Dr. Rodriguez looked confused. "Colonel, the Volani tell us no one has ever successfully boarded a harvester ship. They're full of deadly robots and toxic gases." "The Volani aren't soldiers," Walsh replied. "We are." Crystalline Song of Hope's voice came through the speakers. "Colonel Walsh, I must tell you that this idea frightens me greatly. The harvesters are death machines. To fight them in close combat seems impossible." Carter studied the tactical displays showing harvester ship designs. "Crystalline Song of Hope, has any species ever tried to board these ships?" "No, Admiral. The very idea is unthinkable. Every civilized species in the galaxy fights from a distance with energy weapons and defensive shields. No one deliberately puts soldiers inside enemy ships." Chief Engineer Tony Martinez, who had been quiet until now, suddenly smiled. "That's exactly why it might work. These machines are programmed to fight against energy weapons and space tactics. They're not ready for Marines with explosives." Carter felt something click in her mind. "They adapt to whatever we use against them, right? But they can only adapt to things they understand." "Exactly," said Walsh. "And they don't understand humans." Over the next 2 days, the human fleet prepared for a completely new kind of battle. Martinez worked with his engineering teams to develop special weapons for close combat in space. They created electromagnetic pulse grenades that could shut down harvester systems, and cutting tools that could slice through alien armor. Sergeant Katie Lopez, Walsh's best squad leader, trained Marines for zero-gravity combat inside enemy ships. These were dangerous missions where one wrong move meant death, but the Marines practiced until they could move through cramped spaces like experts. Lieutenant Commander Johnson modified his fighter craft for suicide runs. The plan was to crash fighters into harvester ships to create holes for boarding parties. It was incredibly dangerous, but Johnson's pilots volunteered anyway. The Volani watched these preparations with amazement and horror. Crystaline's Song of Hope spoke privately with Dr. Rodriguez about her concerns. "Doctor, your people are planning to do things that we would never consider. Deliberately destroying your own ships, sending soldiers into enemy vessels, fighting hand-to-hand with machines. Are all humans so violent?" Rodriguez thought carefully before answering. "Not violent exactly, but we don't give up easily, and we fight hardest when we're protecting others. I begin to understand why you call yourselves Deathworlders. Your planet must be a very dangerous place to create people like this." "It is," Rodriguez admitted, "but that's what makes us good at this." The harvesters attacked again on the 5th day. This time, they came in an organized formation with their strongest ships in front. They had learned from the first battle and were ready for human tactics. Carter watched from the Liberty's bridge as 500 black ships approached. "All right, people, this is it. Remember the plan. We don't try to win a big battle. We make them scared to fight us at all." The human fleet scattered into small groups. Instead of forming a battle line like traditional space forces, they acted like wolf packs hunting prey. Each group of 3 or 4 ships would attack a single harvester vessel, then run away before the enemy could respond. Commander Brooks led the first boarding assault. His ship, the USS Retribution, rammed a harvester cruiser while Sergeant Lopez and her Marines prepared to board through the hole. "Remember, 60 seconds in and out," Brooks told the boarding party. "Plant the charges and get back to the ship." The Marines flew across empty space in powered armor, carrying weapons designed specifically for this mission. They entered the harvester ship through the damaged hull and found themselves in a maze of mechanical corridors. "This is Lopez," the sergeant reported over radio. "Inside the enemy ship. It's full of robots, but they seem confused. They're not attacking immediately." The harvester robots had been programmed to defend against energy weapons and cutting tools, not against humans carrying explosive charges and electromagnetic pulse devices. Lopez's team moved quickly through the ship, destroying critical systems and gathering information. "Charges planted," Lopez reported. "Getting out now." The Marines flew back to their ship just as the explosives went off. The harvester vessel broke apart from the inside, its self-repair systems unable to handle internal damage. "It worked!" shouted Brooks. "The boarding assault worked!" All across the battle area, human teams were attacking harvester ships in ways the machines had never seen. Johnson's fighters crashed into enemy vessels to create entry points. Marine teams disabled ships from the inside. Engineering crews used the alien technology they captured to build better weapons. The harvesters tried to adapt, but human tactics kept changing. Just when the machines learned to defend against one attack method, the humans switched to something completely different. "Admiral, this is incredible," reported Patterson from his tactical station. "We've destroyed or disabled 47 enemy ships, and we've only lost 8 of our own." But Carter knew the real victory wasn't in the number of ships destroyed. It was in something else entirely. "Look at their formation," she told Commander Davis. "See how they're spreading out, keeping distance from each other? They're afraid of us now. It was true. The Harvester fleet had stopped its organized attack and was now fighting defensively. The machines that had terrified the galaxy for thousands of years were learning what fear meant. Crystalline Song of Hope's voice came over the communications. Admiral Carter, I am watching something I never thought possible. The Harvesters are retreating again. Not just regrouping this time. They are actually leaving the system. Carter felt tired, but satisfied. How many of your people did we save? Nearly 3 million Villani are now safely away from the planet. Admiral, you have given my species a chance to survive. But more than that, you have shown the galaxy that the Harvesters can be defeated. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from his communication station. Admiral, I'm getting signals from other star systems. Word of our victory is spreading. There are requests for help coming from 12 different alien species. Carter realized that humanity had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. They weren't just explorers anymore. They weren't just one small species trying to survive. They had become something else entirely. What are we now? She asked herself quietly. Colonel Walsh heard her and answered, We're the people others call when the monsters come. Carter nodded. It was a big responsibility, but someone had to do it. And humans, it seemed, were very good at fighting monsters. The final battle began 2 weeks later when the largest Harvester fleet anyone had ever seen arrived in the Kepler 442 system. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching her sensors count the incoming ships. How many? She asked quietly. 812 vessels, reported Lieutenant Patterson. Admiral, this is their entire reserve fleet, every Harvester ship that wasn't already attacking other worlds. Carter felt the weight of the moment. The machines had decided that humanity was too dangerous to exist. This wasn't just about saving the Villani anymore. This was about whether humans would survive to see another day. Signal all ships, she ordered. This is Admiral Carter. We knew this moment would come. The Harvesters want to destroy us because we dared to fight back, because we showed the galaxy that monsters can be beaten. She paused, looking around at her bridge crew. These were good people who had volunteered to risk everything for strangers. Today we make our final stand. Not just for Earth, not just for the Villani, but for every species in the galaxy that wants to live free. If we lose today, the Harvesters will hunt down every human ship, every human colony. They'll make sure our species never threatens them again. Commander Brooks' voice came over the communication system from the USS Retribution. Admiral, the crew wants you to know that we're honored to fight alongside you. Whatever happens today, we'll make them remember that they picked a fight with the wrong species. Similar messages came from ships across the fleet. Captain Morrison, who had survived his previous ship's destruction and now commanded the USS Freedom II, pledged his crew's loyalty. Colonel Walsh reported that her Marines were ready for the biggest boarding operation in history. Lieutenant Commander Johnson promised that his fighter pilots would make every shot count. The Harvester fleet approached in perfect formation, their black ships blocking out the stars. But as they got closer, Carter noticed something important. They're staying together this time, she told Commander Davis. They've learned not to spread out because of our boarding tactics. Is that good or bad for us? It means they're scared, but it also means they're going to hit us with everything at once. Dr. Rodriguez interrupted from his communication station. Admiral, I'm getting a message from the Harvesters. They want to talk. Carter was surprised. The machines had never tried to communicate before. Put it through. A cold mechanical voice filled the bridge. Earth vessels, you have interfered with Harvester operations for the final time. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. Carter picked up the microphone. "This is Admiral Lisa, Carter of the Earth Defense Fleet. We don't surrender to bullies and we don't run from fights. If you want to destroy us, you'll have to work for it. You cannot comprehend our power. We have harvested 1,000 worlds. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us. Then why did you bring 800 ships to fight 50 humans?" There was a long pause before the mechanical voice responded. "You will be eliminated." The communication ended and the battle began immediately. The Harvester fleet opened fire with every weapon they had, turning space into a web of deadly energy beams. The human fleet scattered like leaves in a storm, each ship fighting for survival. The USS Congress exploded under concentrated fire from 12 Harvester ships. The destroyer USS Hope lost its engines and drifted helplessly into the enemy formation, where it was destroyed by energy weapons. Within the first 10 minutes, 8 human ships were gone. But the humans fought back with everything they had learned. Boarding parties led by Sergeant Lopez attacked the largest Harvester vessels. Johnson's fighters crashed into enemy ships to create entry points for Marines. Every human ship that was about to be destroyed tried to ram the nearest Harvester. "Vessel! Admiral! We're losing too many ships," reported Commander Davis. "At this rate, we'll be wiped out in an hour." Carter watched the tactical display and made a desperate decision. "Signal all ships. Operation Lightning Strike. We're going for their command vessel." Operation Lightning Strike was their most dangerous plan. Every remaining human ship would attack the largest Harvester vessel at the same time, trying to destroy the machine that controlled the entire enemy fleet. "Ma'am, that's suicide," Davis protested. "We'll be flying straight into the middle of their formation. Then we better make it count." The human fleet turned toward the massive Harvester command ship, a black vessel the size of a small moon. Every enemy ship in the area focused their fire on the approaching humans. The carrier USS Ranger took a direct hit and broke apart, but not before launching all its fighters. The cruiser USS Denver rammed a Harvester battleship, destroying both vessels. The Marine transport USS Normandy managed to get close enough to deploy Colonel Walsh's entire battalion onto the command ship before being destroyed by energy weapons. Inside the Harvester command vessel, Walsh led her Marines through corridors filled with deadly robots and toxic gases. They had one mission: find the central computer and destroy it. "This is Walsh," the colonel reported over radio. "We're inside their brain. Heavy resistance, but we're pushing forward." Dr. Rodriguez, working with Crystalline Song of Hope, had discovered something important during the battle. "Admiral, the Harvesters have a critical weakness. If we can disrupt their central frequency, all their ships will lose coordination." "How do we do that?" "The Volani have harmonic technology that might work, but someone has to get close enough to their command ship to broadcast the signal." Carter looked at the battle around her. Half the human fleet was gone, but they were closer to the Harvester command ship than anyone had ever been. "This is Admiral Carter to all ships. We're going to try something that's never been done before. All remaining vessels form up on the Liberty. We're going to ram that command ship together." It was the most desperate plan in human military history. Take every surviving ship and crash them into the enemy's most important vessel, hoping to do enough damage to stop their entire fleet. Commander Brooks was the first to respond. "The retribution is with you, Admiral." One by one, every remaining human ship confirmed they would follow Carter into what was certainly death. These were people who had families back on Earth, who had their whole lives ahead of them. But they were willing to die to protect others. The final charge began with 23 human ships flying straight at the Harvester command vessel. Enemy fire destroyed ship after ship, but the humans kept coming. The USS Detroit exploded just short of the target. The USS Phoenix lost half its hull, but kept flying. The USS Montana crashed into the command ship's surface and detonated its nuclear reactor. "This is Walsh," came the colonel's voice, weak and full of static. "We found their central computer, setting charges now. Tell my family I'm proud to serve with humans." The Liberty was the last ship flying when Walsh's explosives went off inside. The Harvester command vessel. The explosion was so bright it could be seen from the planet's surface. When the light faded, the massive command ship was breaking apart. And something amazing happened across the entire Harvester fleet. The black ships stopped moving. Without their central computer, the ancient machines had no idea what to do. Carter found herself floating in an escape pod, watching as the remaining human ships, mostly damaged fighters and small craft, began attacking the motionless Harvester vessels. The enemy ships couldn't defend themselves without their central control. "Admiral Carter, this is Rodriguez on the USS Horizon 2. The Harvesters are completely disabled. We did it. We actually did it." But the victory felt hollow. Carter counted. Only 11 human ships still capable of fighting. Out of 57 vessels and 20,000 people, fewer than 3,000 had survived. Crystalline Song of Hope's voice came over the communication system, filled with something that might have been tears if crystal beings could cry. "Admiral Carter, what your species has done today will be remembered forever. You have freed the galaxy from a threat that has existed for thousands of years." "At what cost?" Carter asked quietly. "The cost of heroes," the alien replied. "The cost of people who cared more about others than themselves." Over the following weeks, as rescue ships arrived from Earth and the surviving humans began the long journey home, word of the victory spread across the galaxy. Alien species that had hidden from the Harvesters for generations began to emerge. Trade routes that had been abandoned were reopened. Entire civilizations that had lived in fear could now hope for the future. Earth received its first official alien diplomatic missions. The Volani requested permission to establish an embassy on Luna. Other species asked to join what they called the Terran Protection Alliance. Admiral Carter, recovering from her injuries in a hospital on Earth, watched the news reports with mixed feelings. Humanity had won a great victory, but so many good people had died to achieve it. Dr. Rodriguez visited her in the hospital. "Admiral, I've been talking with representatives from 47 different alien species. They all want the same thing." "What's that?" "They want to know if humans will protect them from other threats. Word has spread that Earth doesn't abandon its friends." Carter thought about Captain Morrison, who had sacrificed his ship to save aliens he had never met. She thought about Colonel Walsh, who had died fighting inside an enemy vessel to protect people on distant worlds. She thought about all the brave humans